Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Amirah Zahra, with student number 2005086083, and in this occasion, I would like to explain about language, dialect, and varieties. Okay, first thing first, I would like to discuss about how do sociolinguists define the language between a dialect and a language. So every variety is a dialect, including the standard variety, and there is an increasing trend toward discussing discrete language as ideologically rather than linguistically real entities. The commonly cited criterion used to determine if two varieties are dialects of the same language or distinct language is that of mutual intelligibility. Or to put it simply, if speakers understand each other, they are speaking dialects of the same language. And if they not, then they are speaking a different language. The next one is various problem in mutual intelligibility. So there is four problem. The first one is mutual intelligibility is not an objectively determined fact. So it's not an objective fact. The second one, situations in which there is a dialect continuum make it apparent that the lines drawn between language are not based on linguistic criteria. The third problem, with using mutual intelligibility as the criterion for status as a dialect or a language, is that even without a dialect continuum, there are many examples of named distinct languages that are mutually intelligible. And the last one, or the fourth one, that mutual intelligibility cannot be used as the sole means of distinguishing dialect. Versus, language status is that there are sometimes unintelligible dialects which are identified by the speakers as being the same language. So that is the four various problems in mutual intelligibility. The next one is the role of social identity. So sociolinguists claim that the defining factor in determining whether two varieties are considered distinct language or dialects of the same language is socio-political identity, not linguistic similarity or difference. The next one, we want to talk about the standardization. So standardization refers to the process by which a language has been codified in some way. That process usually involves the development of such things as grammars, spellings book, and dictionaries, and possibly a literature. And then the whole thing that we want to talk about in standardization is the first one, the standard as an abstraction, standard process, the standard and language change, standard English, and the last one is the standard dialect hierarchy. So the first one, the standard as an abstraction, Lippy Green also states that we see the standard as a uniform way of speaking. Although some regional variation might be allowed, social variation is not considered acceptable within anything labeled as the standard. The next one is standard process. In order for a standard form to develop, a norm must be accepted. As discussed above, that norm is an idealized norm, one that users of the language are asked to aspire to rather than one that actually accords with their observed behavior. The next one is the standards and language change. So the standardization process is necessarily an ongoing one for living language. The standardization process is also obviously one that attempts either to reduce or to eliminate diversity and variety. The next one is standard English. The standard variety of English is based on the dialect of English that developed after the Norman conquest, result in the permanent removal of the court from Winchester to London. However, Differences in the spoken varieties exist and are found everywhere in the world that English is used, and while these differences may have been reduced somewhat in the British Isles, they may actually have increased almost everywhere, for example, with the new English speaking countries in Africa and Asia. The next one, the standard dialect hierarchy. So dialects are usually easily related to the standard variety because of the latest socio-political silence. The next one, we want to talk about regional dialect. So, regional variation in the way a language is spoken is likely to provide one of the easiest ways of observing variety in language. There may even be very distinctive local colorings in the language, which you notice as you move from one location to another. Such distinctive varieties are usually called regional dialects of the language. So, regional dialects is actually the easiest way to observe variety in language. The next one is dialect continua. This use of the term dialect to differentiate among regional varieties can be confounded by what is called a dialect continuum, in which there is a gradual change of the language. The next one, we want to talk about dialect geography. So, when a language is recognized as being spoken in different varieties, the issue becomes one of deciding how many varieties and how to classify each variety. Dialect geography is the term used to describe attempts made to map the distributions of various linguistic features so as to show their geographical provenance. Well, I think my time has already passed, but actually there's a lot of uh, the remaining thing to discuss. But because my time has already done, I will put the link to my Canva presentations, and then you guys could see um, the summary that I have uh, put to my presentation. Okay, um, thank you guys for watching, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.